Elise Stefanik is continuing to double down on her idea that yes, there is a theory, there is a plan to replace Republican voters with Democratic voters who happen to be brown. But she's getting called on it by other Republicans. Now, of course, we got to look at who these Republicans are and how they're viewed by their own party. But at least some Republicans are. So Adam Kinzinger, Representative Kinzinger, writes on Twitter, did you know Elise Stefanik pushes white replacement theory? The number 3 in the House GOP, Liz Cheney, got removed for demanding the truth, and GOP leaders should be asked about this. So this is a direct call out, which I gotta say, as someone who doesn't see this nearly enough on the Democratic side, is kind of happy to see that Republicans are doing it, even if they are in the minority and they will take even more flack than they already have. But here he's saying, look, Kevin McCarthy has to answer for this. Elise Stefanik has to answer for this. Meanwhile, you iced out Liz Cheney because she dared call the January 6th insurrection exactly that. And then Liz Cheney herself went even further in not just singling out Elise Stefanik, but really the GOP line as a whole, writing on Twitter, the House GOP leadership has enabled white nationalism, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism. I mean, there's no pulling punches, Liz. History has taught us that what begins with words ends in far worse. GOP leaders must renounce and reject these views and those who hold them. This is a Cheney, and so my heart is pulled in a multitude of directions. I'm very good with words on Tuesdays. But man, I have not seen a Republican in the last, 5 years, current sitting Republican, not former I want a job at MSNBC Republican, deliberately call this out. I mean, Dan, what do you think? Is this, are they gonna, is Kevin McCarthy gonna come around?
I mean, if we end up seeing Kevin McCarthy on CNN, we will rue the day of those words. But no, I think that Liz Cheney is definitely in a position to where she's been so ostracized by her own party that she has no incentive to then turn around and go, okay, I'm gonna fall in line with the Trump base. Whether it's for her own political aspirations or otherwise, she happens to be taking this kind of principled position. And we definitely hope that other, again, Republicans start to call out their party. But what we've seen is, like you're right, Francesca, the Democrats rarely ever call out members of their own party because the idea of applying any type of pressure to your cabal of wealthy politicians is a problem on the Democratic Party. Yeah. On the Republican side, they tear each other down so they can get more people within their extreme right-wing coalition into power so they can do what they really want to. And so they're going really hard against Liz Cheney. I don't know if it's gonna work out very well, but I do appreciate on that level that there is some fighting within the Republican Party over how to reconcile with this. I just know that usually this happens and this lasts for about a week, and then the party's back falling in line with all the terrible things they're doing.
Yeah. Cheney Harris or Harris Cheney 2028.
That's the unity ticket we need.
Oh yeah, let's just bring everybody together. Look, I gotta say, kudos to Cheney. Run as an independent. I don't know. Do you remake just or take the Republican Party and let us start a different thing? Something's gotta happen. But I did want to point out, and this is really scary, that in a recent Associated Press NORC poll, 1/3 of Americans actually do believe in the Great Replacement theory, and almost half of Republicans believe there's, quote, a group of people in the country who are trying to replace native-born Americans with immigrants who agree with their political view. Now that statement in and of itself should probably be parsed. There's a group of people in this country, read the Jews, who are trying to replace, quote, native-born Americans. Are we talking about Native Americans? I don't think so. So I have a little bit of problems with the way that poll maybe was posed, but it is frightening. And as Dan, you were saying, it's not fringe anymore. And I think we're finally coming to terms with that.
Yeah, and I really hope that the Republican Party can see that, okay, this is not becoming fringe anymore. This has the potential to get very violent very quickly. And who knows, maybe we can. I mean, Republicans have been bragging about the Democrats are bleeding Latino voters, they're bleeding Black voters, they're coming to our party. And I do know a lot of these conservative people of color. I have a really strong feeling that if you start actually taking the great replacement theory seriously, they will be overplaying their hand. And many of the same people they will need in a lot of these iffy places like Florida and Texas coming soon, they may not be able to rely on those people of color voting for them, because if they actually see that they are going to be voting for a party that's going to very closely try to kill them and kill their families.
Yes.
I don't know. It's really hard for people to vote for that. You can abstract things and go, oh, I'm being taxed too much. Oh, I can't do my business or whatever. No, they're coming to kill your family. I'm pretty sure people are going to see that and not vote for that party. Or at least I hope, because again, we've been let down to get to this point.
I think that's really important. And I think it's important to say that the fact that the targets, and this is really painful, but the fact that the targets were African American and not necessarily like immigrants, right? Parses this issue, or doesn't parse the issue. I think it creates a natural solidarity of like what happens in the El Paso shooting to what happens in a synagogue to what happens, in a Sikh community or the Muslim community can also happen to obviously African Americans, and has, and will. And so you're absolutely right. Like the ways that Republicans often try to divide voters and say like, well, we should all be against illegals or we should all be against Muslims. It's like, no. We understand where your ideology is leading. So I think there's a really, really good point.